too slow.
What's going on, everybody? We're here live at the headquarters of Reject Studios with Michael, our beloved director, and myself. You all know my name.
Not really. It's Eugene.
So,
You're cocky though, motherfucker.
I was
aren't
just
you?
joking. All right. Our first topic for this series of so-called debates, up for whatever you want to talk about, is the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Now, just so we can get a very clear idea of what exactly we're talking about, let's go ahead and start from the top of the well, I guess you could say the chronological order. There's a word for that. The chronological order.
If you want to go in order of like how it should be, yes.
Yes, chronological order of all the games. Now, keep in mind, me and Mike are not exactly Sega or Sonic Team enthusiasts. We don't know every single thing there is to know about. Disclaimer right there. You can do the nice video edit for that. But we'll go ahead and start it off from the from the old school.
Like old school?
The old school. Now, back in the day, we had Sonic the Hedgehog with pretty much being famous for its speed engine and being able to keep up with such a high speed going at a 2D side scroller type platforming game, I guess you could say. Very fun indeed. Very fun indeed. It was almost overwhelming at times, and to be completely honest with you, sometimes I'll pick up some of it. I'm just like, oh my god, this is going too fast. Like, slow down.
Yeah.
No, you don't gotta go fast right now, Sonic. Slow down.
Yeah, I've actually tried playing older ones recently, and it's weird that it seems like they seem so hard because they go so fast compared to like newer ones. Because we'll get into this later, I guess.
Yeah.
Later. But like, you know, there's a difference in speed, and it's funny that sometimes it seems like the older ones are a lot harder. It's weird.
A lot of the older games are really hard. Definitely, for sure.
Isn't that weird how that works?
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's how it is. I guess that's why you gotta keep your game for so long, because it's so hard and you gotta be stuck on it for so long.
Yeah.
Now, that's what it was back in the back in the day, I guess you could say. That's what it was.
Kind of before our day, not by too much, but
yeah, you know, I'm just
Okay, I'm just saying.
So,
because we're gonna come off like we're sounding like back in our day.
Back in our day, yeah, we're still like
we weren't born back in that day. We're a couple
when
years
we weren't even around for the first initial release of Sonic the Hedgehog.
We were around for the other releases.
We were around for the next point, which I'm about to bring up into, which was like the GameCube, like PS2 era, which was us.
Essentially, yeah.
I don't remember if they
didn't have any for. They had it for. They did have one for Dreamcast.
I think it was the first Sonic Adventure.
Yeah, but I never had a Dreamcast. I don't know about you.
I never had a Dreamcast.
I only had a 64. Nintendo 64.
It was equivalent to that generation, I guess you could say. So, all right, we'll talk about that one then. The Dreamcast one was Sonic Adventure. I guess that was one of the first. Well, not the first. I'm gonna guess maybe one of the first 3D Sonics that we've.
There was a couple before them. Sonic, I think it was called 3D.
3D Blast.
Yeah, that
I think
one.
That
was for Genesis.
That was craptastic from
from what
we've heard
from our sources.
Okay, so basically we had the 3D Blast and we had Adventure 1 for Dreamcast, and I'm gonna be honest, I've played a little bit of 3D Blast, I've played a little bit of Adventure 1, and I wasn't too thrilled with it. It's because it got brought away from that. They kind of did something different with the series. They're just kind of like, oh, here's the 2D side scroller that you come to love. Oh, let's throw it in 3D.
Make it in 3D and just
why not
everything.
Why not? So that's kind of like where they branched out after that. Then the next generation after that, we have the ones that a lot of people seem to praise. They love the Sonic Adventure 2 battle. They like the Sonic. They love the Sonic Heroes. It's like, well, maybe not Heroes. I like Heroes.
I like Heroes. It was cool. It had its ups and downs, but I liked it overall.
Overall, it was pretty good.
My favorite is still Sonic Adventure 2.
Of course,
it's
that's the basic fan favorite from what I've seen so far with these games. It's just Adventure 2 seems to be the.
Unless you want to go into like the hardcore ones, like, no man, it's all the old school ones.
Yeah, but even then, it's like
I've run into those.
Yeah,
they're annoying.
They're just like
it's really hard to sway them. But that's more of like a. That's more of like it's a hipster thing. Like, oh, I like the older ones better because they're better.
I mean, respect to the older games. They're a lot of fun. They're also, like we said earlier, they're very hard.
Yeah, I'm not. You're not saying they're bad or anything. Just
exactly. They're just
really hard. They're hard for people that didn't grow up with it. You know? Yeah.
It's just hard. That's what it comes down to.
It's just too damn hard.
But that's what we had for that generation, was the, your Sonic Heroes, all the PS2 Sonic the Hedgehog games that we had, which, in retrospect, they're, like, not bad games.
No, I didn't think any of them were. I think they're gonna be terrible later. But I
We'll
didn't think they were bad.
we'll get into the terrible later. Don't you worry. We'll mention the terrible.
We'll get there.
We're going over the timeline here.
Hint.
Hint.
Don't worry though, it's fine.
We'll get into that just shortly.
But we're going to, as Eugene said, in chronological order.
Chronological, because I know the word now.
Yes. Good job.
Fast forwarding a little bit ahead, we've got, I don't know if you want to count the Nintendo Wii games. It's technically the next generation of Sonic the Hedgehog game. And if we think about it, the real Sonic the Hedgehog games that we've had for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 was that that very infamous Sonic 06. So I mean, unless you can think of any other ones that also came out on 360 or PS3, then
we're talking remakes. Or the...
I'm talking about original titles.
Oh, no. I think 06 is the one. I mean, they had the Wii games.
Well, they've had plenty of original titles on the Wii.
Yeah, and those weren't... The only one I actually liked that was somewhat decent was Colors.
I think Colors was the only pretty decent one.
Secret Rings had a high expectations in my opinion.
I'm gonna be honest, the poster looked pretty cool. When I saw it on Game Informer, me and you were both sitting in class whoa, this looks pretty cool. He's got fire coming out of him. That's cool. He's got a ring now on his hand. Because let's a quick side note for that. Whenever he's got Sonic had all these rings, don't ever wear them. You don't ever wear them.
Collect them. Just collect some and they're just there, just in cyberspace or something.
Yeah, exactly. And they just fall off. No, this is what happened. Fan theory. Quick side note. He'll pick up a ring, slide it on his finger. Bam! Right there, and he's got rings upon rings upon rings up his legs, and then somebody hits him, and they just all fall the off.
That makes the most sense.
So the dreaded Sonic 06 and everything else that came out on the Nintendo Wii, we've got
not everything.
Huh?
Most of them, not everything.
Okay.
Because Colors, I thought Colors had potential. The only thing I didn't like about Colors, which I think we might guess I'll touch on after, is the voice actors. I think that's when they changed them.
That'll tie into later on.
I think that's when they changed. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I know for a fact it's different voice actors from the original. I don't know if that's when they decided to go in a different direction, but I don't really care for those voices. I didn't care for that voice. Mm-hmm. Especially Tails, he sounded too childish. I really, I will voice my opinions for voice actors. I think it's when we go and talk about why they all failed is when we'll cover that. But, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Continue, Sonic 06.
Sucked. Yes. Sucked.
I can't see, you can see.
Apologies for that. We've kind of had our...
technical difficulties.
Yes, we've kind of had ourselves a small technical difficulties. Now, what Michael was saying was that basically his experience with Sonic 06... Shut up. His experience with Sonic 06 was not as bad as people have claimed to be. He had just pretty much explained and... pretty much explained that he did experience some small glitches, but nothing too catastrophic, as people have brought it up to be. We don't have any, I don't think, any original titles for, the current gen, which is PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Wii U, except with the exception of Sonic Boom, I do believe is the.
Did you hear about that game?
The only one
when I heard it. Well, okay. Let's go with you, and then we'll see what I heard.
I've played it. You
have?
Yeah, I did.
What's your?
I feel like it's a very watered down game. I feel like it's just okay. It's like it lacks the same amount of energy that it had back in the day. I think that's pretty much where we're at. Chronological order.
Oh wait, no, handhelds.
Handhelds.
You said that already?
No, we didn't even touch on that.
Game Boy Advance had. You know what I liked was that fighting one for the Advance?
That's what I was just about to say. You took it. Took it right out of my head. Okay, there was an Advance game. That
what
was
it called? It was something...
Sonic Battle. It was just Sonic Battle.
There we
That's all
go.
it
That
was.
game was fun. I like that game a lot.
It was a lot of fun. It was just it was great. I mean, it was still kind of a 3D concept, but
it was like isometric more.
it was isometric with 2D models that would instead of running, they would run sideways and they would kind of just move instead of having an animation. They had all of the original advanced games, and I'm trying to for the life of me remember at least one of the titles.
Sonic.
I'm drawing a blank. I played the.
I
hell
had
out
a
of
couple
them.
of them. Yeah.
I played the hell out of them, but I just don't remember. I think it was just Sonic Advance. I think it's what they called it.
Yeah, Advance 1 and then 2 and was it 3?
I could be wrong. Again,
there was at least
just goes to show that we're not a Sonic team experts.
Yeah, like we like it, but we're not like super big enthusiasts.
Yeah, exactly.
We're enthusiasts in certain things, just not this entirely. But I feel like
not for the most part we're pretty well educated about the series
for the most part.
Exactly, for the most part. Anyways, I think.
Oh, and then we forgot about Sonic Riders.
That was PS2.
Was it PS2? Well, no, PS2. There was another one. That was Free Riders. There was one for PS3 and
Was it Free Riders?
The Kinect. It was Free Riders, I think. No, there was Riders
2,
and then there was another one for the Kinect. It was so stupid.
It was stupid.
It was stupid. Like you had to like use your whole body to actually like move and like kick, and you had like swimming portions. You look You look stupid.
You
when
look so
playing.
dumb. You're just, nah.
Yeah.
And for a character that we all know who can't swim, I just like.
Somehow he's able to swim. I was like, what the.
I think we have another technical difficulty that we're gonna patch together very soon and figure out what the hell is going on. But in the meantime, we will continue. We said previously, I don't know what point we stopped. We just made the point that it's hard.
Yeah.
The game's hard, and that's pretty much the only con we can think of for the old school one, at least for the sake of our opinion. Mm-hmm. Now, if we go and continue to the next generation with the Sonic Heroes titles and the Sonic Adventure 2s, and why not, we'll throw in Sonic Adventure 1.
I like DX. I never played Sonic Adventure, but I played the Director's Cut, Sonic Adventure DX. That one was...
DX, it was pretty... same thing. Chaos was still the bad guy, so it's just like...
It's the same thing, but Director's Cut. So I never played the original, so I don't know what the difference was, honestly.
It's not much from... I mean, any Director's Cut, I like to think it's not much of a difference. But pros with that is that we, as, the kids that we've grown up with these games, it's kind of something... Some people would like to argue that's when they started to take the turn. Is when they slimmed up Sonic and they made him a 3D gaming platform or whatever the hell. That's arguably where they had made the turn. For us, it's something that was something in our childhood. So I mean,
probably why we're more like
we're cooler. More it's cooler to us, exactly.
Like
From a completely unbiased standpoint, from a completely objective standpoint, where the games over here, we're standing here looking at it from a distance.
Yeah.
We could see. But yeah, it was extremely different from the old school. It definitely was. They pretty much stripped it and made it something completely different.
Stripped it, gutted it, planted it on the wall, and went to look for its brother.
Exactly. See, they've had the same concept, speed, which is the whole thing that Sonic was about. It run real fast. Mm-hmm. So they still kept that, but at the same time, it wasn't the 2D side scroller that we'd come to know. So with that in mind, you could like it, you could dislike it. It's entirely up to the gamer. Now, me personally, I liked a lot of those games, just because, again, for the first part, we'd grown up with them, and they were fun. They were fun games. It was a good balance of awesomeness and just like, whoa, that's really cool, and it wasn't too hard. So it had a good balance. It was like a game that's basically more or less letting me win. So I'm just like, yay, I like this game.
Essentially, yeah, I kind of look at it that way.
I remember specifically sitting in class when that game came out, and my friend was telling me about how hyped he was to go home and play this game, simply for the fact that he could play as Shadow. And this was one of the first games that Shadow... I want to say it was.
It was the first Shadow came out,
where Shadow came out. And I even remember the commercial. It'd be like, good hedgehogs, and then it was a little cute little hedgehog, and then it'd be like, evil hedgehogs.
Oh,
and
yeah!
Then it lowered the cow into the thing, and he just f***s it up, and I was like, what the hell?
Okay, yeah, I remember that. Okay.
Another good reason why we had loved these games was the soundtrack.
Oh my god.
Come on.
I love the soundtrack.
Come on now, like.
Why would you not love the soundtrack? It was so cool. Crush 40.
I mean, some people like to argue like, oh, they just suck. But I mean, while you're playing the game, come on. Now.
It's so cool. I mean, I love playing a game when the soundtrack's so like.
It goes hand in hand. Really.
Yeah, they fit each other so well.
So that was another reason why we had loved those games. We're still going through the
soundtrack.
The pros of this series or this generation.
We'll get into the cons in a bit. Don't worry.
Yes.
There's probably. I mean,
not much, but we'll get to them.
Don't worry, we'll find them for you.
we'll dig through them.
We'll dig through just for you guys, so we won't be biased.
My personal favorite, what happened to be, let's see, I like the very last one for Sonic Heroes. It wasn't. I could be wrong about this title. I know it was Crush 40 or something. It was basically when you turn to Super Sonic and you're in the sky and you're finding Metal Sonic, and for some reason I don't know why Metal Sonic had a voice in that game and had these big wings.
Like a voice, like talking voice.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I don't want to fight him.
Honestly, I never really finished Sonic Heroes. I got like halfway through, and
that's
then
what happened.
I lost it.
So Metal Sonic talked in that one. That was why people kind of gave that game.
I just lost my game. I never found it. That's the reason I didn't finish it. I just couldn't find it.
It was What I Made Up. I'm pretty sure it was the name of the title. If maybe we could put a very quick listening moment.
And we're back. If you stuck around this far, thank you.
Yeah, if you stuck around this far, then thank you.
You are a trooper.
You
awesome.
are a trooper for Sonic the Hedgehog.
You got that swag.
Sonic the Hedgehog swag. All the rings, and guess what? They don't fall off.
So how much you pimps that? Come on, check it out. Like.
No, I wasn't even paying attention either. You were hitting me. Damn.
Anyways.
Okay, so
music, awesome.
Yes, that was the whole point of that.
Sorry.
Awesome music for that. Now, unfortunately for this, there are some bad sides for that generation. And honestly, from the top of my head, I mean, I can't think of too many of them. Besides the fact that they completely changed the original, not engine, but the original idea, the original concept for the original old, I keep saying original, but old ass Sonic games. The gap between the old school and the PS2 generation was a huge difference because the fact it was 3D and it wasn't as fast. I mean, I'm sure there would be sections of the game where
really fast.
You could haul ass, but I mean,
not unless the game was meant to do that.
Right.
Like when you're running away from the truck in the city escape, that seemed pretty fast. Or like when you're doing like those really fast loops, fast. But for the most part, when you're running through the level, it's pretty moderately paced.
Pretty moderately paced, exactly. It's pretty slowed down.
I want to say they did that because of the 3D-ness. Because imagine what it'd be like to zoom through as fast as you were in the 2D plane on a 3D plane.
I don't even could hardware even keep up with it?
At the time, I don't think so.
It was different. So that's that. It was very different from the old school.
Yeah, and the voices were different. No, it wasn't Steve Urkel. The original Sonic.
Had to bring that up.
I'm sorry.
Had to bring that up. I mean, I like them cartoons.
I never really got into those too much because I never really saw them. Mm-hmm. But like I remember them.
I mean, I couldn't see them on TV, obviously, but that's what the internet's for. Yay!
I think you know the Sonic cartoons that I watched.
I do.
I think you watched them too. You remember?
Which one?
You remember? It was on like every Saturday morning.
Oh, Sonic X.
Yeah.
Gotta go fast.
Sonic.
So let's have a quick Sonic X session. You just be like, gotta go fast. Digitally insert. Gotta go faster, faster, faster. Gotta go Sonic X.
I'm not gonna put any music. You're just gonna look like a complete jackass.
Don't do that. You're the ass. We were saying the cons of the PS2 generation.
Yes.
Just the nature of the games themselves is already kind of a con, I guess you could say.
I guess it depends how you want to look at it.
Depends how you look at it for sure. I mean, gameplay was okay. The story sometimes I like to think, especially in the later ones like Sonic Riders and Sonic.
What I noticed about Sonic is that there's no clear storyline. Bowser.
Exactly.
Sonic's Bowser is Eggman, or Dr. Robotnik.
All for all the old school fans out there.
Dr. Robotnik.
Robotnik.
I know Robotnik. Yeah, Eggman. Shut up.
It's his grandpa, apparently.
Really?
I don't know.
Actually, I've heard about that, but I know Robotnik, Eggman's.
I guess another bad thing I could think of for that generation was the changing voice actors. I mean, I know it's hard to keep up with current ones that'll stay for the whole series, especially if they keep wanting to crank out game after game after game. It's they're gonna want to leave eventually, and you got to make your game, you got to make your money. So it's like,
did they change voice actors from the PS2 era?
I mean, there'd be certain slight changes, but it wasn't like a complete jump of the whole cast. It's like slowly but surely different characters would change out.
I know Knuckles. Well, I know they all changed for the cartoon, right? They were all different for the cartoon,
right?
Except no, yeah, they were all different.
It's like the jump. Shadow, for example,
he had a voice change right away in Shadow the Hedgehog, didn't he? Or did he not?
He did Sonic Adventure 2, and then I think that was about it. Like, that was the only one where he kept that same voice actor, and I think he changed right after that. I could be wrong, though.
Don't quote us on this. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while.
From what we remembered, the first initial Shadow sounded like...
pretty badass.
Badass. Like, he was just this dark...
Not that the new one doesn't sound badass, but it doesn't sound badass as well.
Some like to argue that the newer Shadow sounds more like an emo, whiny teenager versus the dark badass that could go and destroy the world. But a lot of people would like to argue that Shadow the Hedgehog was the one that kind of...
well, the game?
I'm talking about the game. The actual game, Shadow the Hedgehog.
Maybe. I could see why.
Was the first initial downturn.
Maybe. I mean, I didn't hate it, but... Are we doing pros or cons first? Because...
let's be honest, the pro list is pretty small. So
okay, yes, thank you. Okay, I wanted you to say it. I didn't want to say it. I wasn't sure if you were going to agree with me.
Let's kind of go ahead and knock that out real quick. Pro list was obviously the soundtrack.
Once again,
Crush 40
killed it.
Awesome, killed it.
Crush 40 crushed it.
And it was pretty, for the most part.
Yeah, I remember, I didn't hate it, but I didn't really care for it.
I remember specifically in the cutscenes, like, it was one of the first ones where when a certain character would have head movements, their quills would follow along.
Yeah, okay, I know what you mean.
It was more wavy instead of just a solid...
This is solid, like in Adventure 2, where just, like, the whole thing's one solid block.
Yeah, like they put, like, a whole container of hair gel in it, and it just wasn't moving.
And, like, when Sonic turned this way, it just clips through his shoulder. Like, what's that, Tails?
It's deadly. I mean, so that's pretty much it with Shadow the Hedgehog.
Once again, the soundtrack.
The soundtrack and the overall look of the game.
So made it relatively bearable.
Because if you think about it, it essentially was just... it wasn't really different from the different eras.
Yeah.
If you compare Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic Heroes, it was pretty much the same thing. Like, mechanic-wise and
well,
gameplay.
they both came out in GameCube, so they're both in the same era.
So they're both pretty much the same game. So it wasn't like, oh, there's a stupid mechanic that just pissed everybody off. No, it wasn't anything like that.
Well, I mean, there was some stupid implementation. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yes.
Continue with your pros.
Now the infamous con list.
Oh, so that was it?
No, that was it. That was it. That was just it. I'm already.
Cons.
Plenty of.
Where do we start?
Yeah. Even though it was an exact copy, not an exact copy, but if it was very similar to previous titles, it was... I can't put my finger on it of what exactly pinpointed to be not super terrible. For me, it was the idea of replaying the game over and over and over again. That's what kind of turned me off. Once I realized...
the multiple arcs I was talking about?
Yeah, I'm saying, like...
I remember we were pretty psyched about it. Not psyched, but like it was like, oh, that's cool, Shadow. And then like of course, the music, like I said before, just made it look so... the music just made it look so awesome. That opening scene.
Yeah.
With the
even though he had a motorcycle and could run faster than the motorcycle.
That was the con for me. I hated the fact that he could
drive
he could drive things that he could jog faster than. I was like, seriously. I was like, what's the purpose of this? It's like, and the guns were like,
they were useful in the game.
They were useful. I was like, okay. At first I was like kind of stupid, but then like it wasn't like they helped. So it made sense. I was like, okay, I got used to that, but then I never got used to the vehicle. That was just stupid. It might have had the ability to be good, but there's just too much bad. Like, I like when a game has multiple endings, but no more than like 3. This one had it was like a whole pyramid of.
Yeah, for those who haven't played it, I mean, maybe we can throw up a screenshot or something. Just like that. It was a huge pyramid of just.
Oh my god.
Of just ridiculous. Maybe that's what it was. I think.
And even from that one period, once you got to that last level, there was a good and a bad version of it. Mm-hmm. It's like there was that last part plus one extra step they don't show you. Remember that? Split in half. Like the last part is actually a good and a bad. And I think then if you choose to go neutral, you just get the main very first ending.
I think he was considered a robot if you got neutral.
Was he? Oh yeah. He was a replica.
He thought he was a replica of the original Shadow.
I didn't full on hate the game, but it could have been better.
I mean,
well, you liked Heroes.
I liked Heroes.
Is there anything bad you can say about it?
A lot of people didn't like the whole transition system, like the fact that you constantly had to be in 3s.
Oh, I get used to it. I mean,
yeah, it's fun.
Same thing.
Same thing with that. I mean,
soundtrack was cool.
Soundtrack for that was probably my favorite. Well, I don't know. Debatable from what we said previously. There's whole videos dedicated to. I think this Crush 40 song is the favorite, or this one is the best out of the series. I'm thinking Sonic Heroes. Some people I haven't heard it appear. It's just
as one of the totally awful games.
Exactly, one of the turning points, as I like to say. The fun part, yay!
06.